So welcome back to Unit BSB WHS 401, and we are starting the hazard reporting. Here we, the previous topic, we discussed different types of hazards, examples of hazards, the difference between hazard and risk. And also we discussed a little bit about risks and the risk assessment matrix. So here, what will happen if I see a hazard? What I need to do? So let's have a look. We need to report the hazard. Once identified, we will need to report this hazard. Sometimes I will report the hazard to emergency people like first aiders or wardens, fire wardens. Sometimes I will call the fire brigade or police. So I'll call 000, it depends. So we need to report this hazard, and in many cases, it's documented. So we can have written reports, verbal reports, some checklist completion. When I go to my class, I have a checklist. I check for the power cores. I check that everyone scanned this QR code for COVID, social distancing is maintained, if this is the policy, everyone is wearing mask, if this is the current policy, everyone is wearing enclosed shoes or personal protective equipment according to the policy. So I'm following the checklist also. We can also improve. So, for example, the power cords under the desks in most of companies. So maybe it's not a good idea to drink tea or coffee or water in cups or mugs. We need to have like enclosed bottles or water bottles with or travel mug. So instead of the open normal one. So we can have different controls to be implemented in place to reduce the risk. Good. When we report the hazard, what type of hazard, what is the location, number of people affected by that hazard, what is the risk category, is it life-threatening, who reported or who has reported the hazard, when the hazard was located, date, time. Yes. Have we taken any responses to mitigate this hazard or deal with it? So we need to not only identify, we need to identify, report, assess, and acted upon as promptly as possible and within the WHS legislative requirements across the country, state, or organization, according to policies and procedures, of course, and as we discussed and agreed multiple times. The actioning hazard reports. So now I found a hazard. I reported this hazard, what we need to do. So let's have a look step by step here in this checklist. Conducting a risk assessment of the hazard. Can you remember the risk assessment? Yes. The matrix, yes, correct, the matrix that we did in the previous session. Implementing an immediate solution to the hazard. This implementation could happen by me. If I'm qualified, I know how to do that, permitted to do that. If I'm not, I will contact someone who can do that. So maybe the immediate solution is just calling ambulance. I can't do anything else. Okay. I need to investigate a long-term solution to the hazard. Why this hazard happened? How can we prevent it from happening again? Implementing the long-term solution. So we will investigate some solutions, then we will implement this solution. Maybe we have 1, 2, 3 solutions. So we will select one of them and we will implement that. We train people in the application of the long-term solution. As some of you mentioned, we will have evacuation drills. We will have some workshops on how to use the fire extinguisher and other equipments. Evaluating the effectiveness of the long-term solutions. So after we implement the solution, we need to review, is it an effective one or not? Do we need to do something? Do we need to improve the current program or controls in place? Do we need to update the policy? Do we need to implement more controls? So we have the social distance, then we add masks, then we add hand sanitizers, then we add more frequent cleaning, then we add maybe lock. We don't go to workplace or shopping centers. So we have different levels. Monitoring the long-term solution. So we monitor that. We implemented, we review, we monitor its effective or its effectiveness. Okay. So it depends on the workplace type. It's different. Training organization, different from construction company, totally different from mining site. So for each type of organization, also based on size, number of employees, location, a company located in north of Australia, it's totally different than organization located in the south or east or west or in the middle. So each type will require specific tailored solutions. If a company located at the ground floor near the ocean, so maybe there is flood hazard. Okay, but I'm far from the ocean, so I don't have the flood hazard in my calculations. The flood will never reach me. Okay. Okay, questions? Any questions here? So what is the important to action hazard reports promptly? Why we need to action that promptly? Any idea? Any feedback? Yes, to prevent potential harm. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Reduce the impact. Yes, yes, correct. So we will identify the hazard, categorize the hazard, report the hazard. Then we, based on the reports, we will have some actions, and these actions will reduce potential hazards in future or prevent these hazards from happening again. Okay, makes sense? Any questions? Any questions for me? So today we discussed the topics related to communicate outcomes, providing training, costs of training, identify hazards, and hazard reporting. My personal recommendation, just as a word of advice, you take a break, then you come back to Connect, review what we have discussed, and if you have a question, email me this question, or we can discuss the question tomorrow during class time, also, it's a good idea to start working on your assessments for this unit. Okay, everyone. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll stop recording, but I'll stay online if you need to ask me some questions.